Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. So today I'm going to be drawing a pumpkin, but a little bit of a different style of the ones that I've done so far this year. So what you want to do is you can start by drawing your pumpkin in graphite and then go over it with a thick Sharpie marker. And so what this is going to do is you're going to be able to use this as sort of a dark ground. Now, as you go over your contour drawing that was in graphite, you're going to lose some of those lines. So you might still be able to see them, and because the graphite has a little bit of a sheen to it. But if you can't see them very well, I want you to go back over them a little bit with graphite after you fill in your pumpkin with Sharpie. Okay, so now you're going to take your gel pen, and the ones that work best for this are the ones that you can see on the black ground. So those tend to be your lighter ones. I have a pack of like 20 or 30 gel pens, and I did a test beforehand just to kind of look at how these look on a black Sharpie. And it seemed to me that, the light blue, the light yellow, the light green, those all worked pretty well. Some of the oranges didn't work so well. So just you might want to experiment a little bit before you get going. But what you're going to be doing here is you're basically using this idea of direction of line to go around each section of the pumpkin. And so if this concept of direction of line is new to you, I highly suggest looking at some of my cross contour videos, which I'll link in the description. But the idea basically is that you want to think of using lines to wrap your form. And as long as you go around the entire section of the pumpkin in each, section of direction using the direction of line, it'll look really 3D. So here I am just drawing the stem of the pumpkin, and those are going in more like vertical lines. And then, I'll go back and I'm just going to go around each section of the pumpkin. So at this stage of your drawing, I don't want you to worry too much about your highlights and shadows and things like that. I want you to focus more on just getting that three-dimensional quality, which you can build up through the direction of line. And as always with hatching and cross hatching, you can experiment with a few different things. You can try making your lines quick, you can make them slow, you can have the lines be all the way, the same pressure across, or you can have them be more of like broken lines throughout the section. Just sort of try different things, see what comes natural to you, and experiment a bit with that. And I picked blue for this, but you could definitely do this with a different color. You just want to make sure that it shows up on the black ground pretty well. Okay, so now I'm going to start thinking about my highlights and shadows. And so what you want to be doing with this is you want to use your light pen to essentially search out the highlights. Okay, so what do I actually mean by that? What I mean by that is that when you look at your pumpkin, you'll notice that there are some areas where, even if it's, an orange pumpkin, are going to be lighter, and then some areas are darker, right? So make sure that you see that when you look at your pumpkin. And your gel pen is going to be what's used to find the highlights, so the light areas. Whereas the black, where you have your Sharpie, is going to be the shadows. So it's kind of like the opposite of how you might normally draw, where normally you might be using, say, a black pen, and you're going to be drawing in all the areas that are in shadow. In this, the more that you layer your gel pen, which is light, the more you're going to pull out those highlights. Okay, so it's kind of like a little bit of an opposite type process. Now, one thing I wanted to mention though is you want to be careful that you don't overdo it and lose all the blacks. Like if you go all the way to the edges with your pen every time and you really just sort of start coloring in the whole thing, you're going to lose the black areas, and then you're going to lose your shadows. So you want to, kind of build this up a little bit slowly, in that way you'll maintain those dark shadows. If you've enjoyed this video so far, please subscribe, and thank you so much for helping me to grow this channel. Okay, so next thing I'm doing is I'm just going and layering a bit more with green, and you can try different colors. I wanted just to do something a little bit different, and again, you just want to make sure that it shows up well. So any color that shows up will be a good choice. Okay, so just to recap, the three things that you want to focus on in this drawing is starting with focusing on your direction of line and making sure that you use direction of line to show the 3D quality of the form. The second thing that you want to do is use your gel pen to make sure that you can kind of pull out the highlights while leaving the black from the Sharpie as your shadow. And then the third thing that you can do is use your gel pen to layer a bit and add some color to make it more interesting. So I hope that this was helpful for you, and I'll see you next time.